Hello everybody, I'm Ard, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. In this episode, we are once again not going to... Wait, what's this? Folks, I have got conflicting reports. It appears we are actually going to build the roof today. I'm as amazed as you are. Switching over to Chopper 1 for the coverage. Alright, so, as promised, I made a roof, and I hope you don't find this all too garish. I was experimenting with colors and trying some new things just for the sake of trying them. I was going for like a broken up pattern on the roof to make it look slightly worn down, look like it was multiple colors were used on the tiles, and I think it turned out pretty well, although it looks a bit better at a distance. If you come back out here this far, the pattern doesn't look to be as different as it is when you're up close, and it looks kind of like some tiles are falling off. And the colors kind of bleed together a little more and look more varied in the way that I was hoping for. If we come back over here onto the roof itself, you can see that I went with a really bright orange. This is Constantin. It's an alloy of nickel and copper, and I used a whole lot of it. And this is what I needed all the nickel for. I hope y'all like it. If you've got some opinions on it, please drop something in my comments and tell me how bad I am at color design in theory. But this is what I went with to test with. I also made all of these slabs up here so that nothing can spawn up here, and more importantly, so snow can't settle on this. My original design was going to be have more depth to it, but then I realized these skylights being raised up into full blocks would have just caused snow to cover them and would have made the skylights pointless. So it's a relatively simple looking roof. It's not, the best thing I've ever done, but it seems to fit the building for my purposes. And is experimenting with colors that I'm not normally comfortable with using. The tower back over here, I just covered up with some slabs for now because this isn't finished, but I've got tired of cleaning snow out of it. So, yeah, we did that. So, we've got a little bit of a lip along the back edge, along the edges here of the roof, just to create some depth as well, which is part of what I was going for with, I was trying to make this an inset level of the roof, where originally, this area around the glass was going to have, steps up to the full blocks, and I was originally going to try to create depth that way. But this is what we ended up with. This is where I landed on it. If we come down into the basement, you might have noticed I have made some other changes as well. I've actually finished out my storage room and also made a villager trading hall down here to shove them in here so I can more easily find them all. But so far I've got more storage than I need for quite a while, and hopefully this, works out for me long term. I have a bunch of spots in the top row above the villagers and above the crates over there that I can shove more storage into if I need be, and I've got that one soundproofing block over there that doesn't quite fit in. I'm trying to decide if I want to hide that behind a wall or not. I don't know, if you've got opinions on what I should do with it, just let me know. One of the other things I did in between the episodes is I kind of not leveled up the villagers, but used them to unlock some of the trades. And this guy right here, the structural engineer, actually provides something super important. And if you're doing your own Enigmatica build, you might want to look out for one of these guys to kidnap, because he does something that I didn't realize before for certain. I never really took a good look at his inventory, and he sells steel scaffolding and aluminum scaffolding, which are used in some of the multi-block machines, which, if I can just pay emeralds, well, why not? I have a bunch of emeralds. I've got that automated coming in from the sieve right now, and I can just, trade him, I don't know, a whole bunch of treated sticks, just like this is blocked right now, because I have been, because I can make, I don't know, thousands of these. So yeah, so that's useful. I also did something similar with this machinist right here. I maxed him out as well, looking for specifically the engineer's blueprint for the arc furnace electrode. So the only way to get this pattern is to either get it from Machinist Villager or find it in a village randomly. If you're going to build a mob farm in this game, one of the things they highly recommend you do is build an arc furnace to melt down all of the armor that's coming in, and to get a whole bunch of free materials doing it. And there's a reason they say that, because you get an awful lot of really good stuff. The problem is the arc furnace requires these electrodes to run. You need 3 of them, and they're extremely expensive to use. And if you milled them the normal way without this blueprint, they only come in with half durability, and it's just better if you can get about 100% because you have to replace them periodically. Why not make it take twice as long in between to replace them? And then, in between episodes, the other thing I did is I went and found a guy who can trade me silky combs again, which they're apparently significantly rarer than all of the other ones. I might get rid of some of these excess ones later and replace them with other villagers that might be useful, but for now, we've got a whole bunch of other ones that just do the normal type of combs, because the mossy ones are the ones, as reminded, that we need to get silky thread from to be able to build most of the forestry stuff relating to bees. So, we've got this sitting around here now, and that's all great. If we go back upstairs, you can see that I've remodeled it a bit. I removed all of the storage that was up here, put it downstairs, and put in a whole bunch of work tables, because it's really useful for like hand making like large batches of really simple things over and over. So like one of these is specialized to like my servos, another one is for making crates and chests, and the various other pieces we'll need over time. To give you a quick example, we'll look in this first one where I have a chest that I can just make the chest anytime I want, which then I can make the wood casings, which then I can make the small storage crates. Just bing, 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 and pull everything out of the inventory, and then all of a sudden I have more storage. Same thing for the servos, which I need to make the other patterns and start using them, but I haven't made any since I did this, and then down the line, we'll find some uses. I also embedded the engineer's workbench in the table and put a chest for its blueprints next to it just to get it out of the way. The sieve I moved upstairs with the other chests up there and just got that out of the way since I don't really need it right now. If I end up needing it again later, that'll be fine. And that was pretty much it for what we did in between the episodes, just to get everything a little bit more cleaned up around here. Well, I also cleaned up a lot of snow. I really did. And now you can see my nice pretty roof above me, which adds a little bit more color to the place. I think the orange goes with the darker colors, but I try to pretend I know what I'm doing with colors, but I prefer blues and grays, not oranges and browns. So, trying something new for the sake of trying something new. And now, for something completely different. I've been putting off the magic side of the book, mostly because the tech side's a lot easier to focus on and get done. But we need to move across and do both of them because there are requirements from all of these different mod packs to continue moving forward. So I figured we should probably start moving forward on Thaumcraft today, the very bottom one in the book, because I put 0 effort into it, and we got a long way to go, folks. So I probably should at least go start on it and move away from the tech mods for a little bit. So let's talk about Thaumcraft real fast. So if you go through the help text that's in the game already that pops up on the load screens, there's the file that's attached to it. The first thing they're going to tell you to do is do Thaumcraft in a compact machine. And there's a really good reason for that. Thaumcraft, at least in 1.12, generates something called taint. As you do magic, it puts it into your cauldron or into the air, and when you dump stuff out or when you use stuff, it builds up into the chunk that you're working in. General rule of thumb is don't ever do Thaumcraft in your home base. If you put it in a compact machine, that isolates it off in its own separate dimension where it can't do anything bad to your main work area or anything else in the world at all. Because taint, once it exists, starts spreading. It corrupts the land under it, starts spawning monsters that will attack you, and just is generally a bad thing to have happen. There are ways of cleaning it up, but it's better just not to have it happen in the first place. So we're going to go contain it in a compact machine over here. So let's go inside and get started. So one of the things you'll notice as soon as we come in here, you'll notice that I've already stuck another one of these devices up on the wall here. It's because I have absolutely seen somebody throw one of these things into their Crucible and turn it into mana on accident and then have no way out of the compact machine, sort of killing themselves. So let's not be that person, eh? Yeah, let's come prepared and let's not make mistakes. So, as we made way back at the beginning, there's a book involved with this called the Thaumometer, and the Thaumometer acts as a big research step. I opened up the first one earlier just to get an idea what we need to do, and we need to build the Arcane workbench. And to make the Arcane workbench, we need to put Salus Mundus on it, on top of its standard crafting table. So let's go do that. Alright, and to make the Arcane workbench, what we need to do is make some bowls, which we did. That's just 3 wood. Take that, and a flint, and a redstone, and 3 different of these Viz crystals. And we've got ourselves Mundus. And you just take that and sprinkle it on your crafting table. And now we have the Arcane workbench. This is like the normal workbench, but it uses these crystals as well to craft stuff. So if we look into here now, it will say that we've completed this. We can click that. And that opens up a new set of pages down here. So the next thing we should make is the research table, which requires Thaumcraft wood, 2 Thaumcraft wood tables and some scribing tools. So the scribing tools are just a glass file, a feather, and black dye. The glass file is just clay and glass. And this, the research table recipe, however, is changed, and it's actually treated wood, so you have to be able to make creosote to be able to do this. So let me put all these together and I'll show you how it works. Okay, I was wrong. You only need 1 research table. You just slap it down like that. You take your scribing tools and you just right-click it on it, and it becomes the table. Now we want to put the tools inside of it so that it can be used in general, and it requires paper. And from here on out, you use it to generate research. So we like create theory, click that, and then now we start choosing. It's kind of a choose your own adventure sort of thing. So we can experiment with some random stuff, which gains some progress and complete the random category, or we can gain 25 Enigmatica, but the cost of 4 levels experience. So let's do that. So you see we gained some experience here. And then now we click the next one and reject Thaumcraft. Well, we don't want to do that because we just did that. So let's get some random experience. And eventually, if we do this long enough, or we will eventually get a breakthrough in one of the categories that we're working on right here. So let's do the next step. Random or more Thaumcraft. So let's try to do that just to see if we can get something from here that's useful. And then continue on. You notice it's using up paper and it's using up ink slowly. Universal theory. A moment of revelation shows common link, blah blah blah. An additional category will gain the full bonus upon completion, or Thaumcraft. So let's do that and use some more experience. And now we're done, and we can complete the theory. And we gain some experience. It doesn't look like it did anything. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot that requires building up over time. So, this is something I'll probably mostly do offline and show you as I go on. But this lets us at least move forward now into theory crafting, which has the explanation for how all of this works that I just went into. So that's useful. And then this tells you to research some stuff with the moon and whatnot, and we will I'll go into all that later, because the next step is actually to make a Thaumometer, which is 4 gold and some glass paint and 1 of each crystal. So let's do that. Alright, so unfortunate change of plans. So the problem is, inside our compact machine right now, we don't have any Viz in the background. I planted some trees, but it might take a little while for them to grow because silverwood doesn't like being fertilized. So we're moving it out here. So to show you the issue, you come into the table, and you can see that I now have 130 Viz available. So now we can actually make the Thaumometer. So let's put all of the stuff back in, all of that back in, and all that, and now it lights up. And we can take this out, and now we have the Thaumometer. So now the question is, what can you do with the Thaumometer? And it's used to research magic. So what you can do with it is you can hover over an item and right-click to try to learn something from it. There's nothing can be learned from the crate, so let's find something that we can learn it from. The drawer controller. So you can see I got a whole bunch of stuff from doing that. I think it just grabbed everything inside it. Yep. Everything inside the whole network. So like the crafting drawer, there's one. You can scan inside inventories, which is what just happened with the drawer controller. We can pick up the Thaumometer and just drag it over each of these, and you can see that it's scanning. Fortunately, we have to do each of these because it apparently doesn't handle this correctly, but as you can see down at the bottom, it's saying you have learned something new, and occasionally I'm getting papers. But this gets you basic research for stuff. So that's how that generally works. So I'm going to have to go through and scan everything in my base. Oh, we also need to do like wood planks. So we scan the villager, like the muffler block, our sheep, torches, inventories, machines, other magic stuff, wood, dragon bones, you know, everything. Anyhow, now that we've got this unlocked, we can go back in here, and now we've completed out that first steps part of the Thaumonomicon. And now we can move on to making arcane stone or arcane brick, which we do need to do to unlock stuff, as well as start into alchemy, which This just gives us the first couple steps and tells us that we use Salus Mundus on a cauldron. So let me head back into the combat machine. I can make the arcane stone and the cauldron real fast. So now we can bang out the cauldron real fast. Just drop that down and toss the Salus Mundus on it as well. And magic! And now we have the magic crucible. And the other thing real fast is just, whoops, helps if I click the right things, is just a bunch of stone, some Viz crystals, and now we have a bunch of arcane stone. Just mass producing it now because I'm going to need more later. So if we go into the quest book, we now have a bunch of stuff complete though. So let's go select everything and pick it all up. Alright, so let's go through the loot chest now and just shelve the Thaumcraft stuff for the time being until I can figure out what to do about the Viz situation inside the box. Maybe I'll just move everything over into the Twilight Forest or something for the meantime, because I don't really care if the Twilight Forest is blown up. But let's look at treasures. Spine block. Ooh, a farmer. That could be useful, except we don't really need it. Block of fiery metal, which we will get plenty of these from a mob farm when we make it. Sausage and bread, so more food. Just a standard lapis lazuli blocks. Astral star metal coin, that'll probably generate a lot of power if I ever get around to making the dynamo that eats those. And reactor casings, which that might be useful later. So, nothing all that exciting again. Alright, so just one quick addendum before we move on. I reloaded the game, and now all of a sudden I have Viz in the research table. So if you open it up, you can see now I have 149. So I stripped out all the trees, and I think this just restarting it fixed the number, so we're good to go to continue there on another day. So we're going to call it here for the day on that, just because this is a good stopping point anyways. The other thing I did is I put these fancy quark cave crystal blocks, shaped them into stairs, and put them around the crucible to contain lava and get this heated up and ready, and put an infinite water source in here to be able to use with it later. So this is all prepped and ready to go next time I do Thaumcraft. The other thing is that because I had to break the crucible and move it, and when I picked it up it completed this quest, because I didn't think to do that after I used the Salus Mundus on it, we now have one more chest. So let's open that up, and Deep Dark Portal, which that might be useful later. Don't really care about it right now, but we might want to put a quarry or something there later. Alright folks, so taking a break from magic, I think what we're going to do is go do some basic housekeeping and get a few more machines made that we need for some really basic stuff. Like, I don't know, fighting a dragon, yeah? So I figured what we'd do is we'd actually work on the Atomic Reconstructor. So to make that, we need golden electron tubes, however, which requires the Thermionic Fabricator. So I figured we need to make that first. And the Thermionic Fabricator is pretty simple, just gold gears, glass, and then two casings. The hardened casing, which is just diamonds, and a sturdy casing, which is all easy enough inside a carpenter, and the impregnated carpenter, which is just a bunch of wood with seed oil, which we've already got a machine to make that as well. So having made all the parts, let's just put it together. Alright, and there we have all the pieces and the Thermionic Fabricator finished. We can just go slot this into the wall right here. And there we go, the Thermionic Fabricator is already powered up. So one of the first things we actually want to do is take a lever, lap that lever right on the front of it, and make sure it's turned off, because the Thermionic Fabricator constantly consumes power when it's on, and you don't always need it on, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it back on, however, because we do need it right now to make the golden electrons. And to start that, we need to put sand in it up in here to melt it down into liquid glass. You know, and actually make sure it's in the correct state to actually do it. It also has to heat this up over time, and we also have to have a valid recipe in the thing. So to make the tubes, we put it in like this, and we put 2 redstone in, and now it has a valid recipe. And now you see it's starting to heat up. When it gets to this mark, it will start melting the sand and turn it into glass. Now it's heated up, you can see that it's consuming the sand into glass, and it's created some electron tubes for us. So we can take that and finish all of that out, and turn it back off and disable so it no longer is consuming power. So the next step is to go put the Atomic Reconstructor together. Alright, so to make the Atomic Reconstructor, it requires an iron casing, which we haven't made before. This is actually the gate for Actually Additions, which requires just sheet metal, which we can do, some Tron tubes, which are the same as the gold ones, but they're tin, and then another hardened casing. So I went ahead and made those. It requires a red laser lens, which sounds scary, but is just a piece of red glass and some iron, and then some steel plates, which we all have. So let's slap this together and make it real fast. Alright, so I'm just going to put it right here in the wall, and we're going to toss a lever above it, because if it's not, doesn't have a signal, it will automatically fire like that, so we'll turn that off, and now you should see that it should not fire. I'm going to put a post, I guess right here for now, and you just throw things in laser's path to have it change them. Now, one thing to note on Actually Additions stuff like this in the Empower specifically, it costs the same amount of power to transmute full blocks as it does the smaller pieces. So redstone blocks versus individual redstone dust, or diamonds versus diamond blocks. It's a lot cheaper just to use the whole thing. So I'm going to just chuck these all out here like that, turn that on, and they've transformed into Redstonia. Now, what do we want Redstonia for? Well, let me show you. You see, Redstonia has an interesting ability when used with Tinker's Construct weapons. If we go into the part builder here and toss the Redstonia crystals in, and put the sword blade in, you see that it has the ability Hearts. Well, if you look it up in the book, the Hearts ability does damage based on how many hearts you have. And with the mod that we're using that increases hearts for health based off of how different foods we've had, it does a lot of damage. So we're going to put this on this and on our bow, and this should get us ready to fight dragons for real, maybe in the next episode. Alright folks, that was a pretty productive episode. So, you know, we got the roof done finally. We started on some really basic Thaumcraft, and I got a couple machines made that I've been meaning to make for a while just so we can progress on other things and go fight some dragons. So all in all, a pretty exciting day. So episode 13, I'm not going to make a habit out of this, but as a really small time YouTuber, if you guys could like or subscribe or put a comment in if there's anything you really liked or disliked, it would help me a lot. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.